The following episode of the Maui Chamber of Commerce's Business Matters was originally broadcast on July 9th, 2024.
It's time now for Business Matters, brought to you by the Maui Chamber of Commerce. And now, here's your host, the president of the Maui Chamber of Commerce, Pam Toonpop. How are you doing this morning, Pam?
Hey, I'm great. Gary, how are you this morning?
I'm doing wonderful, as usual.
I'm so glad to hear it. Thank you for all you do for our show and for all KAOI does for our community. We so appreciate you.
Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. Welcome, everybody, to Business Matters. We are going to have a fun show this morning. We are going to begin by speaking with Councilmember, our South Maui representative, Tom Cook, who is the Water and Infrastructure Committee Chair. And then we are going to speak with Matthew Bachman, who is the Executive Director of Habitat Maui. And we'll get an update on the organization and current happenings because housing is so critical and important to us all. But first, I am so pleased to have a friend on this morning. It's council member from South Maui, Tom Cook, who I've known for many, many years during his long history with the Maui construction industry. And so just so glad to have you on, Tom. Good morning, and how are you this morning?
Good morning, Pam. Did I lose you?
Oh, I got you now. That's perfect. Great to have you on.
Great. Well, I'm grateful for the invitation, and it's always fun to talk with you, and I admire what you and the Chamber are doing for our community.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, we certainly admire all that you are doing for our community. As a first-time council member heading an extremely important committee, let's talk a little bit about what it's like to be chairing water and infrastructure, which is critical to our number one priority, which is housing. And let's talk about some of the key things that you had to jump right into with respect to representing South Maui.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. As you said, this is my first term, and it's been an interesting transition from being private sector, spending my life building, being a carpenter and a contractor. I'm happy and grateful to all the council members that they did elect me to be, or choose me to be, the chair of water and infrastructure. It really is in my wheelhouse, and that licensed civil contractor as well as a general contractor, and I'm familiar with the various aspects that we need to do for infrastructure, for CIP projects, for water, sewage, permitting. But I'd like to share with you some of the things that we've done in this first year that I'm really excited about. As people know, flooding in South Maui has become, in the last 5 years, a really chronic issue. The combination of our weather changing, and so now instead of Kona weather like when I was a kid, it would basically move in from the south and the whole island would get drenched. Now we're having these things that I've heard called rain bombs, which will be a concentration of rain for a prolonged period of time in a particular area. And so what that's done is it's created these flash floods. The issue that we have with the deer basically clearing the ground so there isn't the grass and the ability for the ground to absorb it. We have a lot of sediment and runoff, which has been not only flooding, but having these mud floods, which is very detrimental to our coastal environment and has been impacted our community really negatively. But I'm really happy to report that during this first term, I've reached out and been working with the 3 major ranches, and I have nothing but compliments to say for them, because they truly are stewards of the land generationally. And so introducing them to the various public works directors and the other county people, and reaching out, working with both federal, state, county, and the landowners, we've been able to, and with the cooperation of the council, fund projects so that the NRCS, National Resource Conservation Service, is doing a study for doing retention basins of Mauka to capture the water, which would enable it to recharge the aquifer, get the sediment, out, and then that's basically a long-term plan. What's immediately happening is NRCS is also funding, to the tune of several $1 million, the cleaning out of Kalaniakoi Gulch. And I don't know how familiar you are with it, but there's literally 12 feet of sediment from the Pi'ilani Highway going down, actually further up too. So they're going to pay for the first 30,000 cubic yards of removal, and that's going to be starting. They're clearing the trees now, but this summer that will be done. We also got funding, matching funding from the state and the county to clear out the rest. So with approximately 100,000 cubic yards of sediment is going to be removed, and that's going to significantly improve the ability for the land to absorb that much water. It isn't going to prevent the flooding.
Give people for a second. Give people for a second, because it's, you're in the building industry, so help them on size and scale understand 100,000 cubic yards of sediment. Like, what would that look like?
Thank you, Pam. One of those large semi-tractor trailers that you'll see on the road, the tandems are the small ones, the semis are the big ones. The tractor trailers, the smaller ones, will take 15 cubic yards, 15 tons, which, depending upon the weight, say it's 20 cubic yards, and the tractor trailers will take 30 cubic yards. So if you divide 100,000 by 30, that'll give you how many of these large trucks are going to be hauled out of there. The material is going to be hauled up back onto the pastures, and some of it will be processed for utilization as fill. But thank you for pointing that out, Pam. I have to laugh because I do take for granted that everybody is in the building industry, and they're not.
Well, it's such a huge project. I didn't want to get
so without getting in the weeds, we're making major headway with the flood control. Another thing that we've been doing, working with the large landowners, is the R1. So we funded R1 Water a $500,000 study to get R1 to South Maui, to the hotels, the golf course and the hotels. And it's been discussed at length. Running it down the highway where it's rock, it's about $1,000 a foot, which you can just do the math for 2 or 2.5 miles. It's just prohibitively expensive. It's very invasive to it's going to. It would really, people would not be happy with that amount of construction for that long. But working with the landowners and discussing running it Mauka up to ponds and reservoirs, and then gravity flow back down. I won't get into the details, but I just will say that the landowners are cooperative. The NRCS is interested. The county is obviously interested. We pull up the potential to free up 1 to 2 million gallons of water a day. 1 to 2 million gallons of water a day.
Wow!
That's running huge. The R1 water south for the hotels and the commercial properties down there.
And the most appropriate use for that water. Yeah, that's huge.
And I will take the liberty to quote something that I believe is a Sierra Club statement, which is, there's no such thing as wastewater. There's only wasted water.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. That's really important. Oh. And I want to talk to you too about working with the ranchers, and I really appreciate your comment to say these are generational land stewards. I know I'm going to guess, the last decade, when the deer really have become just a constant problem and nuisance. I got to go with people from NRCS, and we went up and we toured the ranch lands, because I know a lot of folks in Kihei were saying they weren't managing their land and thinking that that was the cause of their runoff. And a group of about 30 of us went to a class and got to see the devastation of how the deer not only eat all the grass, but they go below the surface and eat the roots of the grass, which is what's killing, all of this grass to a point where it's not coming back. And then, of course, leading to more runoff. So I really applaud you for the work that you're doing, because I sometimes feel like in the absence of information, we make things up and demonize some people without understanding the work that they're doing and the hardship to them, and the additional cost and expense that they're having to subsidize feed, because this grass is just not available for the cattle the way it once was. And it's all due to the deer. So you've made tremendous strides in both addressing this runoff issue and this R1 issue that's going to save us a tremendous amount of water. That's really amazing in your first term, Tom.
Well, we're also working with, and I say we, one of the things that, from me being in the construction industry and growing up in the trades, I've always looked at pretty much any endeavor as this team sport. And being in the political arena, it's also the same. And the various council members have various opinions and politics and whatnot, but we're all very committed to the community. And in order to get legislation passed and policies made, it really takes the collaboration of people working together. So you'll hear me say we, and I mean the council itself, because anything that has been passed, either with the everybody or the majority. But a couple of the things that we've recently addressed for the west side for Lahaina is the the emergency permitting, the expedited permitting. And that's working with the Department of Public Works. And they hired Ford Leaf, which is a mainland company that has experience from other disasters on the mainland. And so they're making progress. It is not simple and it is not easy, but they are working with people in a more collaborative manner and getting permits issued. So I have praise for the Public Works Department and their efforts and what they're doing. Also for the emergency housing, basically the existing code was for an emergency permit. It's 180 days and then you had to remove it. Working with Public Works and the other council members, Member Paulton proposed, and my committee heard, and we got passed that now for temporary housing can be for 3.5 years, and then with a automatic extension to 1.5 years. We did the 3.5 years sort of as a milestone for the people to be able to communicate and have an idea of what needs to be done, and a reminder so that they're not just scrambling at the end of the time. But that also is the county stepping up and the council working together to try and take care of some of these really big issues that we have.
Well, I'm so glad to hear it.
Go ahead.
This is critical. This is so critical for all of those in West Maui who have been devastated and are trying to get back to some normalcy. And housing is going to be the first key. And it's key to everything we do after in terms of our recovery and diversity and everything else. Housing is key, but we need to start with our local residents. And so I'm thrilled to hear that you kind of set a benchmark, but you did allow for that 5-year period, which we've understood in other disasters. It can easily go to that period. So it's nice that you're pre-planning for all of that and setting that up now.
Well, Pam, you and I have worked over the years on affordable housing. I think the Affordable Housing Task Force, Maui Nui. It's been a long-ranging discussion. I happen to have, I was looking back, it's 25 years that I've been an active housing advocate, and besides builder. And I've kept this, and I'm looking at it now. It's a copy of Building and Industry magazine from November 2001. And on the cover, there's Mayor Kimo Apana, Planning Director John Min, and Public Works Director David Good they were all quite younger. And the topic is Maui construction and controversy. And our challenge as a community, but it's also our opportunity as a community, is the resistance to building I really believe is a political and social, and it's within our hands. So we haven't agreed on the path forward in the past. I'm hoping that now we will accept the fact that there's no one solution. But we can and we should build for our local residents. My ambition is to not only build enough homes for our current needs, our children, our grandchildren, but also to enable our families to come back home. The exodus of our local residents has changed the culture and demographics a great deal. So,
yeah, very much so. I will say this: listening to, and God bless the Planning Commission for their tremendous work the other week, hearing the short-term rental bill, and that'll be up again this morning. But the strong support from community members, and particularly West Maui community members, because we were talking about short-term rentals in West Maui, but the strong support for apartments and apartment living as an option, which is something that over time was sort of being demonized. And of course, we're not saying that we don't want housing. Of course we want housing, but to hear many people say they do want apartments, it's a great way to start, and it's affordable for many people in other ways, and working residents to get started and help move up. And I was glad to see some strong support for apartments that for many years.
That is so cool to hear you say that, because that you really put your finger on it. That's part of the change and part of adapting to some of the things we'll need to do to actually provide the housing, because we can't have single-family residences unless they're going to be from here to Pupalani. We still wouldn't be able to afford them, and that's totally not what we need. So, yes, people's willingness now to look at apartment living, condominium living, opens up a lot of doors, I believe, for us to rezone Kahului and some other areas and start building and providing quality housing of various sizes and costs for our local residents.
Yeah, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. And, I've told my story for many years, which was that I was able to buy a home, but the first way I was able to buy a home was I started renting a condo at Harbor Light. I was able, because those were available for sale, later buy a condo at Harbor Light, and later sell a condo at Harbor Light that gave me enough of a down payment to buy a home. And, so it's important to have options for moving up and saving money and being able to achieve that home ownership as well for a family. I was really pleased to see. That was one of the great things that came out of that meeting, was to hear the strong support for apartments.
I think it's painful and challenging, a lot of for the community to be what we're going through after. I mean, the fire was devastating and just beyond. Yeah, just.
Yeah.
But for us now as a community, if we continue to pull together like we did after the fire to, collaborate, work together without judgment, and simply do everything we need for each other, recognizing that this is our island home. It was a tragic event, and it was a beautiful response in my mind. The amount of outflowing, both locally, statewide, and globally, is something that I think that should not be forgotten while we're wrestling with these challenges now.
I wholeheartedly agree, and I hope that as we continue to move through the challenges, because I think people who are really stressed, and those who were directly impacted. I mean, we've seen devastation both with across the island, but everybody's heart on Maui is really focused on those who are directly impacted, and working to be very respectful and trying to give people time and peace, while also trying to continue on and keep our businesses afloat and help our community recover. And I just hope we continue to find ways to show aloha. And as you say, treat each other with kindness and respect, and the aloha spirit that we're known for, and understand that there are so many people as we go through some of these issues, TDRs being one. Many of these owners are local residents, people who live in those units, but also many of these owners, whether they live here full time or not, are people who have greatly contributed to our community in many ways. So I hope we can find a way to navigate through this and many other tough issues ahead of us with that spirit. And because, as you point out, it's taking care of those who are here, but also creating opportunity for those who've had to leave to come back. And for our children who've had to stay away because they couldn't afford things, to come back. And from that last session we did, the median home price is only going to continue to go up. So if we don't act now, and if we don't get more building solutions and housing solutions, the price escalation is going to continue.
I agree. I'm very optimistic, though, that if we get focused on building the amount of homes and apartments that we need, and we can focus and plan, this is coming as a contractor, if we can plan it and have a consistent, not overwhelming, and Lahaina is a whole different issue, but in Kahului Central and other areas, as we are building for residences, if we don't have a boom-bust cycle, and we can mitigate the speculative real estate aspect of it. And that's a conversation and a topic for another day. But basically, we can build cost effectively if we can build consistently. And I think that even, we don't have many tradesmen now. The average tradesman, I think, is like 40. I don't know if that's an exact statistic. But, you hear a lot of times young people don't want to work and this and that. I think that if they could have an example, role models, mentors in the community to see that, construction work is not just with a shovel, that there's a lot of high-tech aspects to it. The industry has evolved. It's almost like, science fiction to me, the difference in tools and stuff they use now instead of when I was a young carpenter. Anyway, I'm optimistic. I think that we can do this, but the community needs to paddle in the same direction. And overpopulation, I think, is one of the big issues, and I'd like to know your opinion of that over time. I mean, like water development. Maui has water resources, but it's been a battle to be able to drill wells and to be able to manage the water resources Seems like it always ends up in court, in contested case hearings, etc. It's really hurting us. We need, as a community, to embrace the fact that we do have water resources, to agree that they need to be managed intelligently, but to not be the deciding factor of whether you can get a permit. Up country, there's so many local families who own land, have children, they have the money, they have the credit, they're willing and they want to build, but they can't. And we're talking about hundreds of families and people. So that's just some of the things that I hope that being on the council and being a chair of water and infrastructure, that I can help bring the community together, navigate some of these issues, and get the government and private sector to work together and move forward. So that's my plan, and that's why I'm running for re-election.
Well, we are grateful that you are. You have a long history of service. I remember when I first joined the chamber, of course, one of the very active things, the former chamber president was serving on it. So we were not serving in that capacity at that time because she continued her service. But you were on the Maui Island plan, and you were very actively engaged in the Maui Island plan and that tremendous work. And with your knowledge and your history and your career in this area of housing and water and infrastructure and, development and understanding the different cycles and the needs, and also, Tom, your way of convening and working with people collaboratively. I just really commend you for your long-standing service that I and many others know about, and also with the former Maui Contractors Association as the head of that is the board chair for that for many terms. You've had a long history not only in doing phenomenal construction in your personal career, but tremendous service to Maui County, even before serving as the council member. So thank you for your awesome work. Thank you for your leadership. We've had many conversations over the years where I find that you are always looking for, just rational, logical approaches and ways to come together that benefit as many people as possible and mitigate as many challenges as possible. And I applaud you for that. I've always found that your leadership and thinking has been excellent as we move forward, and also your willingness to listen and find ways to compromise is tremendous. And so thank you, and thank you for running again. I know it's not easy to do, but I appreciate and applaud you for all that you've done, and I appreciate that you're willing to continue to do this work because it's really critical for our community. It's always been critical, but with what's happened in Lahaina and the big things ahead of us, it's even more critical now.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity to chat on the radio this morning and share your show. You have and continue to be really a great leader at the chamber, inspirational, and I'm grateful to be your friend and to be able to work with you.
Me too. Thank you so much, and I know you've got a busy morning as well. So thank you for making the time to join us this morning. We so appreciate you, and we'll be talking again soon.
Thank you. Aloha oi.
Have a great
day. I'll talk
day.
to you folks later today. Bye.
Thank you. Aloha. So it's so great to have Councilmember Tom Cook on. We have worked together for many years. Actually, when I joined the chamber, we had the great blessing of renting part of Maui Contractors Association space. And so it's the first time we'd really gotten to interact, and that was many moons ago, but wonderful to have Tom on the council. Deeply appreciative of this great work. And, I really want to say, as we get Matt on, really appreciate, the education, because so many things, as we look at situations from our perspective and our view might be, something that we've dealt with for a very long time, and we just don't understand why things aren't getting fixed, and what are some of the roots of some of the things that are happening. And I say roots, meaning like the deer, for example. And I remember going to the class and just being shocked by what I saw in terms of the devastation that the deer had done over mass acreage, and learning that it was just huge and hugely problematic. And again, this is an invasive pest where man is their only predator. So it's up to us to address this issue. And it was shocking to see to what degree that was impacting the flooding. And so with rain bombs and changing weather conditions and deer and other things, I think there's lots of ways to come together, and we are going to continue to work on that. We're working on it very much before the wildfires. We've pivoted a little bit with that, but we have great partners, and Maui Tomorrow and others understand the deer issue, and there are great partners out there, and we will continue to take this work up and address the deer and help on these other issues as well. Well, let me give you a quick introduction of Matt Bachman. He was born in Indiana, made his way to Maui in July of 2019. He practiced law, working with foster kids for 12 years in Florida, and is now the executive director of Habitat for Humanity Maui. He has worked for Habitat for 4 years now and been the executive director for 1. He lives, speaking of PA, in PA, enjoying the beach and great food, and it's a pleasure to have you on, Matt. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, we are thrilled to have you on. We always love hearing about Habitat for Humanity. I think it is such a wonderful mission that unites the community together, and we just love getting updates from you folks on how we're doing in building and some of the key things that you're doing to help those people who are ready to start moving into a home, but struggling with some of the challenges of getting everything built, how you're engaging them in the process of helping them achieve their dreams. Can you give us a bit of an update on what's current at Habitat?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so it's been busy, and it's good busy. That means that we're building. So just a little little history and everything. Habitat for Humanity Maui has been on island for 25 years, and in those 25 years, we've built a little more than 75 homes. So that's about 3 a year. Well, in the last 2 years or so, we've been able to meet up with some developers, and we are now scheduled to build 45 homes in the next 5 years. So we're going to go from three. Yep, we're going to go from 3 a year to 9 a year, and that includes a 25-unit subdivision in Hana. We're also going to be part of Pu'uhana, which is the new Department of Hawaii and Homeland subdivision that's being built out in Waikapu. Nice. And then we're also building, currently we're swinging hammers up in Waihuli, Keokea with Department of Hawaii and Homeland. And
that's awesome.
Yep. And all of that was before the fires happened. So
yes.
In 2020, we dedicated 10 homes in Kahoma, in the Kahoma subdivision, and those 10 homes are gone. But we're going to rebuild those 10 homes, and we're here to start rebuilding all over on the west side.
We are so thrilled to hear it. I had heard about the loss of those 10 homes in Lahaina, but I applaud the commitment, and I of course, it's Habitat, so I know you wouldn't leave them left that way. I know you would be rebuilding and making a difference there on something that you got started earlier on. Yep. But this is really a phenomenal feat I'm thrilled to hear because, of course, Department of Hawaiian Homeland has a mandate to really expedite building and has been given money to help do this. But to know that you've created these tremendous partnerships is phenomenal. So ramping up from 3 to 9 homes a year is a lot of work. I can only imagine. Tell us how you've got these partnerships. Land, of course, is key, which they've got the land to help out. How are you, though, mobilizing all of these amazing volunteers to help you ramp up in that way?
Yeah, it's been great. So when the fires happened, it was really interesting. So at first, our message was, we're not ready for anybody to come and help, because there's a lot of people from the mainland who just, of course, have great desire to come and help us. And we realized that the message of, as I think a lot of people on Maui did, the message of do not come wasn't the message. It was come and let's find a way for you to help. And so what we have done is we've let people know that we are building today. It's a little early in the morning, but I've got a team swinging hammers up on homes, right now. And so what we're doing is we've had over 2,000 volunteers contact us, and just so far this year, in the first 6 months of this year, we've had over 1,000 volunteers come and help us build. And so we are just going to continue that drive. We are working on building volunteer housing so that they can come actually in Lahaina or near Lahaina, so that we can just mobilize that. We're also we're hiring. So we're hiring for anyone who wants to work in construction, and just trying to be prepared as we are going to be able to start just building all over the island.
I applaud the unbelievable energy and time that you're putting into this, to manage all those calls, to bring people in, to address the flow, to hire people and give people a new career in the trade. It's really phenomenal. And that's the kind of thinking, we really need is to say, like you point out, we do want you to come, but we want you to come when we're ready, when you can actually truly volunteer and contribute the way they want to. They don't want to be a burden. People are wanting to come and help. Sometimes we have to slow them just a little bit, but you're finding ways to get them in now. For those who have never volunteered for Habitat, can you tell them a little bit about how it goes? And if they think, well, I don't have the skill set, tell us about how you kind of qualify them, because there's a lot of learning that goes into volunteering for many people, too. I hear so many people say, I didn't know anything about this, but I've learned a great deal. So can you kind of walk them through what that process looks like? And even if they don't know anything, what they're going to get a sense of and how they can still help?
Absolutely. So there is always a place for somebody to help. Our construction supervisor is just amazing. Not only is he very knowledgeable about just the construction trade in general, he is an amazing teacher. And that's part of the hiring process, is that we want to make sure that it's not a matter of me going up to someone and saying, oh, I'll just do that for you. It's more of a, here, let me show you how. And so we take the time. Unlike traditional construction that maybe has timelines that are very fixed, our timelines are not as fixed. Of course, we want to build houses as fast as we can, but because of our volunteer model, we're able to build them more inexpensively and pass those savings on to our homeowner. So a day on the job site means you get there, you have a safety briefing, and you tell our construction team what you feel comfortable with, and they can definitely find a task for you.
I think that's amazing, and I should rephrase what I said earlier. I said they don't know anything, and of course that's not true. They know a lot of things, but they may not know anything about construction, and it can be a little daunting looking at it, how these walls go up. But there's so many elements to the construction industry and to different things, from just even job site cleaning and painting and other things that we can all help do. But I love that through your model, which has always been a model I've greatly admired, that through your model, you are giving them not only the opportunity to be a part of something so huge, which is a home for a family, but to learn and gain experience in the process. It's just tremendous. And something I've heard from people say over and over again that, over many years, just how worthwhile the experience was and the knowledge that they gained and how comfortable they felt when they weren't necessarily comfortable in the beginning in making the commitment, but wanted to do something, so they just pushed forward and they gained a lifelong experience we'll never forget. And many come back time and time again to continue to help.
Absolutely. And that is, that's part of why we're here, is to be able to use our community to uplift the rest of our community.
Yeah. And you do it very well. So you've got all of these sites, and you're ramping up tremendously and hiring. You must be working many long hours.
There's a lot, but there's some really neat things coming up that I wanted to tell you about.
Yes,
we've partnered with Old Lahaina Luau, and they have graciously offered their space and their show, their dancers, the hula, for us. So on August 17th at 5:30, we are having a fundraiser at Old Lahaina Luau.
Awesome.
Yep. They can go to our website at habitat-maui.org/luau and purchase tickets, and all proceeds, every dollar spent there, is going to come to us. We'll have a silent auction and a live auction, and we're just going to try and have an amazing night where we have a couple of our homeowners that are going to be in the rebuilding process. They're going to share their story, and it'll be a beautiful night at Old Lahaina Luau.
Oh my gosh! Well, I absolutely love Old Lahaina Luau, and of course they were impacted to a degree, but not just obviously the site survived, which was a tremendous blessing by the wildfires. So that's phenomenal, and they are such a wonderful giving company, and I'm so pleased to hear that they're supporting you in that way. So you said August 17th. This is at 5:30 p.m. Beautiful luau at Old Lahaina Luau. Auction, live and silent auction. You can contribute to housing, folks. You can contribute to housing being built on Maui. And where can they buy tickets?
Yep, they can go to our website at habitat-maui.org/luau, and all the information is right there. We're looking for sponsors as well. We were able to tour the site. I had been there quite a few times previously, but just last night, and get everything laid out. So we're very excited for that.
Nice. Oh, that's going to be amazing. That's really going to be amazing, and I really appreciate their tremendous support.
Absolutely.
That's going to be awesome. And how can people, those who want to also volunteer, can they register on your website? Do you want them to go there first, or do they call and have any kind of intake?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. No, they can just go to our website, like I said, habitat-maui.org. You can click on volunteer, or we have a special wildfire section where they can donate specifically to our wildfire recovery, or they can click on a button and give us their name for volunteering, and we'll reach out. There's also a way that they can sign up on that same site that will allow them to just start picking a day to when they want to come out. and we have a director of volunteer programming that will be able to contact them and get everybody set.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I also want to talk about your restore, and here's my story about the restore. Every time I donate something, I also end up buying something. It's not only a great place to donate, but it's also a fun place. Whether you're building a house or not, there will be things that'll surprise you in the restore. There's everything in the restore. Sometimes you can find a teapot, or sometimes you can find a beautiful piece of decor or furniture. There's great things at the restore. So how is the restore doing these days? And have you been getting a lot of donations?
I love that story. And that's exactly, I tell people, we have everything you didn't know that you needed, just sitting there ready for you. Yes, so the restore is doing all right. I will say donations have slowed down. We always see a slowdown in the summer. People are out at the beach, or they're, hanging out with their kids. But yes, we take all types of furniture. We take construction materials and household goods and decor. They just need to call for an appointment. Our number is 808-242-1140. If you don't have an appointment, you could probably still show up and we'll take it. And then we have a really interesting new, discount program where when things come in new, they're at a price that we set. And then every 2 weeks, it gets dropped by 25%. So there's a color tags system to where if you come in and you think you really want something and you're not quite ready to take it, if you come back 2 weeks later and it's still there, it'll be 25% off. So we're trying to move some of our inventory. We have to give a shout out to some of our local partners, Lowe's and Home Depot, as well as the resorts who have been donating all summer long and even throughout the beginning of this year. And I'll give another shout out. We're hiring for the restore as well. So if you have just a little bit of retail history or something in your background that wants you to help out at the restore, come on down.
I will let people know. I know there's some folks that I know of who recently kind of retired, but they still want to work, and they're finding, retirement can be long days. They want to keep busy, so I'll share that with some others. I think that one of the things that I saw right after the wildfires is that a lot of people, because there was such a need for furniture and other things, I know a lot of people just started donating it direct to families, right away, putting things up on Facebook and saying, I've got this furniture, if you need it, please come by. I know we were doing some of that out of our household. So, but, now it's a great time to, you folks do an awesome job getting it to people. People look there for the restore, and it's a great one-stop shop to, if you're needing different things, like you said, you have everything. I mean, lighting, doors, everything, utensils, kitchen utensils. It's not just the bigger construction stuff like the tiles and the lighting and the windows and doors, although you find all of that. But there are so many other things. And one of the things that quick story was, because it's not here anymore, which is Pier 1, I had a beautiful bowl that I bought from Pier 1 that was this multicolored red bowl. And I had always wished I'd bought two because I wanted to frame a bookshelf with it. And darned if I didn't make a donation and I go into Pier 1 and there's the other red one that matches mine. I bought that. And it was a nice Pier 1 bowl that somebody had donated, and I was able to pick it up. But I do appreciate the tagging system. That's a tremendous help for so many people. And understanding that, to watch that. I know you don't take calls. People have to go in. You guys are so busy building houses. You can't manage watching things for people or telling people what's new and what's come in.
Yes.
but it's a quick trip. For those who don't know, let people know where the Restore is.
Yeah, sure. We're located at 1162 Lower Main Street in Wailuku. We are just above Fiesta Time. Most people know that area. And it's just a quick stop in, walk through the store, see if something catches your eye. If not, come back 3 days later and there'll be a whole new store for you.
That's also very true. And, while you're making that quick stop, if there's some things that you're not using at your household, take it in and see if they can use it there. They can, help get those donated items to others. It's a great way to give. It's a great way to help them raise more money for their funded programs. It's a very wonderful program that's had a long history in our community. And I personally know people who had their houses built with the great help from Habitat for Humanity, and it changes lives. And housing is so critical right now that you can make a measurable difference. So many ways to give, and don't forget, you also get this great buy-in of a gift back to you for giving, which is the luau. So please don't miss the luau. I'm going to check my calendar right after this and see if I can't be there. That sounds like a lot of fun and a great way to give back. So Matt, I think we've got about 30 seconds. Is there anything else that you'd like to share or circle back on real quick before we get to the end of our show?
I think just the one thing that I wanted to say is just a big mahalo to all of Maui County and, all over actually the world that has had such an outpouring of gratitude and of kindness during this tough time here on Maui. We've heard from people from all over the world that just want to help when they can. And, we are here for the long term. So keep donations of any kind coming. And if you want to help, give us a call. Check out our website, habitat-maui.org, to find a way to help continue to bring this great community, back to where it was.
Thank you, Matt. That was awesome. Thank you for joining us on the show today. We greatly appreciate the work that you and your team are doing. And that was beautifully said. We've all seen so many people who love and care about Maui worldwide, and we are truly blessed. And I honestly believe that that's in great part to our community, our kindness, and our aloha spirit and love for others. To all who joined us, thank you for being a part of Business Matters today. I hope you'll join us again next Tuesday. And I want to say blessings and aloha for a beautiful Maui week. Ahuyo.